So,
All right, how about now? I can hear you now.
yeah, perfect. All right, Paul. So, how are you doing? Feeling good before this another
Yeah, yeah.
matchup against another legend?
Yep. Ready to roll, man. Ready to roll.
Yeah. How do you feel about the plane rides or this is gonna be in your backyard. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah, is it better for you this way?
I mean, you know what? It's interesting. I was talking to Engin the other day, and I've grown so comfortable going to Istanbul that surprisingly being in Florida was like a change of pace that I had to kind of get used to. Going to Istanbul was like, I've done it so many times now. I know what to expect. I know the routine. So now there's some unknowns around this. What's nice is it's like 2 hours and 15 minutes from my house. And then I also have a vacation property only 30 minutes away. So I'll be able to go a couple of days early and figure things out when I'm there. It's definitely nice being able to pull in front of a home crowd, though, for sure. There's going to be, it's going to be wild.
Oh yeah. That sounds quite a change, I would say. Instead of going across the globe, and now you just kind of like just 2 hours drive from your home, which is
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
something.
it's weird. It's kind of like depending on how you want to look at it. There's like added pressure because you're pulling in front of your buddies and all your hometown guys and Americans. But I'll tell you, winning in front of those guys would be awesome. You know what I mean? That type of energy. The energy we had in Florida was like nothing else. So I'm imagining we're gonna have something similar, probably with even bigger spectatorship.
Yeah, for sure. The experience will be can be a lot different. As a polar, and I'm sure it's a good one. So let's talk about your camp. So you said you had 7 weeks of training. Is that normal for you? Going up,
Yeah,
I guess.
it was about, I guess it was about seven where I could commit like post football season completely.
Yeah.
So I'm still able to train during football season. I still do. It's just there's no real availability for double days or like extended workouts. So I just have to be more efficient. And then I'm pouring so much of like my emotional energy into football, and focus. You only got so much. Your energy bar only has so much in it. And when you're pouring a lot into that, you're indefinitely giving a little bit less to the other things around you. But, I was able to train the whole way through football season, remain injury free and all that good stuff. And then I've had basically 7 weeks of like 4 hours a day in the gym, which is, a gift and a curse because it gets redundant being in there from 2 p.m. to sometimes 7:30. But yeah, I feel good. No real injuries. I did pull my groin the other day,
Oh no, what
coaching my
happened?
kids. I was coaching my kids' 9-year old basketball team, and we're running up and down, rebounding. I did pull my groin, but that doesn't affect arm wrestling. So I got some ice on the inner thigh right now. We'll be all right.
Well, let's hope by the time you pull, it will
It's fine.
be it will be
I ain't
good.
gonna feel nothing during those 20 minutes or whatever. You don't feel nothing. I'll be blacked
Okay,
out.
that's good. That's good. Now let's talk a little bit about your opponent. So, um, in terms of training, did you have to change anything for him without, telling all in terms of, the prep and everything?
I mean, I don't know if I necessarily had to change anything per se, because so many of my recent opponents have been similar. But obviously, I did change focus areas based on where I feel like I'm lacking. And I did add some new style stuff in there, training with a garage door band for a different type of static resistance or a garage door spring, which is much different than the bands. And I was also able to train with Todd Hutchings, the guys in Maryland, get on some stronger arms. So prep's been good and definitely focusing on the areas where I think I need to be better at in order to win this match and hopefully carry myself into more future success. Just cleaning up some of those areas I'm lacking.
Yeah, training with Todd Hutchin is going to be something that going to be really helping. Doesn't matter what opponent you come up against, right?
Well, and Todd, is a common denominator there. He's pulled Krasi recently. We pulled some similar opponents, and Todd, stylistically, he and I have some similarities, and he always adds good advice. And after going there, obviously, I got a bunch of tons of miles on my arm, but I also picked his brain a little bit. and added to the plan B, C, D, whatever may be needed. So definitely feel like I have gained a little bit from him as far as options if things don't go the way I want them to.
Okay. Yeah. So I've made a poll on my channel, and you're actually ahead 60-40 against Krasi. What do you think about your chances on this one? I'm sure that you're confident and you think you will win and everything, but realistically, what do you think?
Well,
60-40.
I'm not necessarily a guy who comes into matches thinking he's going to win. I don't. My prep is always from the perspective of being an underdog. Usually, I am. I feel like I train better when I'm training to not lose to us or to beat a superior opponent. So I do believe Krasi is that for sure, based on experience, everything that he brings to the table. In my opinion, am a true underdog. A lot of people probably in these polls are really just heavily focusing on the Lachlan comparison, and I think arm wrestling math is not accurate. Actually, the Lachlan match, as far as like what matches I'm looking at and breaking down, that's low on the list. Um, I think Lachlan was a bigger, stronger version of himself against Krasi. I think I got a smaller version of him, and I think I came in a pretty good form. To me, the better matches to break down are Brzenk and Hutchings. If you really want to do the arm wrestling math there, that's going to put it a little bit more evenly. And I think that really is the Brzenk match is a real representation of Krasi's level. So I see myself as an underdog, probably by that 10%. I would invert that 60-40. Obviously, I'm happy with my camp. I'm healthy, and I'm coming in there to hopefully do the job I plan on doing. But that doesn't mean I expect to do it. And I think I'm better on the day if I'm not. I need to be running uphill, not standing at the top of it.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up the common opponent that you had with Krasi, Lachlan. So when you pulled Lachlan, was it in the same weight class as
Yeah,
you pulling?
he and I were at 105. So
Yeah.
we were about the same size. When Krasi pulled Lachlan, I think Lachlan was like 110, 112, 115. He was bigger.
Okay, so
Probably 210, and Krasi was like around 220. So Krasi and I will probably both come in around 220, 225. So we'll be evenly weight matched. Now, I don't know how much, I don't know. I can never say what version of Lachlan showed up against me or there or when he went against Krasi. But I would assume with lost weight comes lost strength. Um, maybe it was speed driven. Who knows? Well, we won't know until next Saturday. So
that's
right
why we need
now,
to tune in, right?
yeah. That's what makes it interesting, right?
Yeah.
And this is really a match that I'm honored to have. I've been following Krasi since I started arm wrestling. He's such a nice guy, delightful dude, great sportsman. Like he's like the Dave Chafee, style, which is going to make it hard to get fired up and everything against him. But I really
Yeah.
respect the dude, and stylistically, like once I started becoming more of an inside puller, that was a guy I started watching more closely and thinking, man, I wonder one day if I'm going to be able to compete with this guy. So I'm just thankful to be here, getting this opportunity, and hopefully I'll do us proud. We'll see.
Yeah. It's interesting. So you said about your mindset earlier that you don't think going into a match you should think about, you know, you're gonna win. Where does that come from? Like, putting yourself in an underdog position.
Where the hungry dog runs faster. It's just the truth. So if you're chasing, you're going to train harder. If you're chasing and trying to catch a guy, you know what I mean. You're probably running faster. I ran my best 40 times when I was running alongside somebody else that was faster than me.
Yeah.
So to me, that's important for motivation. I think the toughest position in the world to be in is Levon's. Everybody expects him to win. You got to train to try not to lose rather than to try to win. I think
Yeah.
there's a different mentality in that. I'm training to try and win. I'm not training to prevent defeat. And I think there's power in that. And I mean, Devin talked about it before. It resonated with me. He talked about like, his own internal, the way he pictures his opponents. and I have some similarities too, but some differences as well. You know, when he takes a match, he builds his opponent up in his head like he's unbeatable. And as training progresses, he chips away at that unbeatable like statue until by the time he's ready to compete against a guy, he thinks he has no chance to lose. Um, I don't do it that drastically, but I like to approach it that way, not as a, you know, an immovable object, but one that's going to take an immense amount of effort to be able to conquer. And then I usually feed big time off the energy on the day. So I do believe in the intangibles. So when things are going real well and the energy's great in the room, I'll probably rise to that. When things are going bad for the Americans and the energy's terrible, I'll usually rise to that too.
Right,
The flip
right.
side is if it's even keel, that's the worst thing. If it's just kind of blah, that's the worst thing for me. So I think I'm really going to bank on, you know, some really good energy and the home crowd and, you know, just a dope venue and an amazing experience. And I think that'll elevate me.
Yeah, let's hope that everyone does well from the West, Team
Hmm.
West.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that yeah, that's awesome. So another fun question I have for you is, so what are the chances that this match, because knowing you, obviously you've been a top roller, right? You've been a
Hmm.
top roller.
Hmm.
Now we've seen you at least since the past few matches. You've been mainly a hooker trying to win matches, right?
Yep.
What are the chances that this match is not going to a hook? Is it 0% chance?
I mean, I think that it's 0% chance that none of the rounds go into a hook. Like, there's no chance of that. I don't think. You know, if for whatever reason either one of us came out and had some wild hair and decided we were going to top roll round one, I don't think it would. I don't think it would be
No, no,
top roll round two, three,
that's
four.
not going to happen.
No,
That's what I
we're
think, and that's
yeah,
what
yeah,
majority of people think. So,
yeah. Yeah, I think we're both too stubborn to, you know, now will there be top roll attempts? I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I think back pressure is a part of both of our games, whether neither of us are pure top rollers, but there could be a back pressure aspect or a back pressure hit or something like that. It's just going to depend on, you know, how does the match go? Who does it favor and how do the adjustments go? So I'm not sure what Krasy's thinking. I mean, round one's going to decide a lot as far as two, three, and four. So,
I think I know what's going to happen in the first round. It's just going to go into what you guys usually go into, and then go from
mm-hmm,
there, right?
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
yeah, probably, probably.
That
That's a
probably.
safe bet, you know, a safe bet, probably.
Yeah.
But
You
who
know what?
knows? Who knows? You know what?
Yeah.
It's funny too. I've had like, I find that when I have a set game plan and I stick to it, it usually favors me. Doesn't necessarily mean I mean the match, but win the match, but it favors me. When I get off of that set plan and start improving is when it gets
Okay.
weird.
Yeah.
But I have an innate like flaw in that in the moment, if I'm feeling something weird or you know, I feel like there's an opening, subconsciously sometimes I try it. And I've had success and I've had failures improv. So you never know, but I do have a set plan and I hope to stick to it unless who knows if I black out. You never know.
Yeah, a lot of times I think that that's with you, right? You do those instincts and you come up on top. Most of the time, you're not going to come up all the time, but I think going with what you understand at the moment, going with your natural ability and what your instincts are, I think that serves you better than other things, right?
Yeah, and I think, you know, like guys like Brezink, like, you know, I think he lived his whole career off his instincts. Obviously, he's super well rounded and can do everything at an amazing level. But you watch that guy adjust from round to round, mid match, like talk about reading your instincts. I don't think John, like, you know, I've talked to him before matches and it said, like, hey, what's the plan? He's like, oh, I'm just gonna go in there and feel it out. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like, and I've always been kind of envious of the ability to be able to just say, yeah, I'm just going to grab his hand and see how round one goes. We'll figure it out from there. You
Right.
know,
Well,
it's
that
impressive.
comes with
But
experience too, right?
yes,
He's been in the
yes,
sport, and of course, talent. The talent is there.
yes.
but I think it's the experience, the training, and everything. Um, so yeah, you talked about you training, how you try to get better in there,
Hmm.
and changes that you made, or learning from previous matches, and those things
Yep.
are important. And you talked about that, and I think that's gonna really help you in this match, and it's gonna serve you well. And understanding your opponent uh, before match is really important, and
Hmm.
I think that you do that really well. So it's gonna be exciting to see how that goes. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it for sure. And we'll see how the adjustments go, if there's any needed, and where they go.
yeah,
But yeah, it's one of those things too. We're pulling so many hook pullers, you know, starting off doing it, and you're trying to top roll these
yeah,
elite hook pullers. Sometimes you have a little bit of success, but when we're talking about the world's elite at being able to put people in a hook, sometimes it's best to fight fire with fire. So it's one of those things where you got to try and balance out where your focus is in training.
yeah,
Can you be stronger than a guy in the guy spot, or are you going to have to make them uncomfortable? So there's balances required in that, but hopefully we'll see if all rocks were unturned. We'll
yeah.
see.
What does it mean for you to be crazy?
It's huge. I mean, like where I'm at right now and where I want to be, every match is super important, regardless of the opponent. So ideally, I would like to be back in that hunt for a title shot at 95. Now, being that this is out of the weight class, it doesn't mean that it doesn't affect
Oh,
potential
this
next
does
matches.
mean something. It
Very
means a lot.
important,
Yeah,
very
yeah,
important. So, and beyond that, to me again, it's like a personal honor to be able to pull this guy that I have so much respect for. I feel really blessed to be able to share a table with a guy that I was watching on Top 8 when I started pulling.
yeah.
There's a lot of times where I look at myself in the mirror and think, man, what are you doing here? Are you supposed to be here? Do you just have all these people fooled? Like, why are you here? Like, am I supposed to be here? But I'm thankful that I've been given the opportunities, and hopefully this will be another step in the right direction.
That's a great goal. Do you remember? Wow, this is a long time ago, but I don't know if you've seen the clip where he beat Laval. So,
Yes. Yep. 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 Yeah.
so it's a long time ago, but I'm sure that that kind of is probably not in your head right now,
Nah,
but
I'm not thinking about that at all. That's when we talk about arm wrestling math and like stuff not to worry about. That's not good data. You know,
yeah, it's
I'm
terrible,
focused on the
but
recent opponents and the common denominators. I don't know anything about. I don't. I've never grabbed Levon. I don't plan to. I don't think there's any need for me to even know what that feels like. And I don't think he was the same, nor was Krasny at the time. So, not data I'm worried about. That's not affecting my mind state at all.
yeah. Plus the sport has moved on, like in terms
Yeah.
of levels. Like every
Yeah.
year, like we have new faces, and
Hmm.
the level's gone up so quickly,
It
and
ain't get. It's not getting no easier. If we are not improving, we are going to go extinct. Like that's just the truth of it.
yeah,
The beauty of it is looking at guys like Hutchings who are approaching 60 years old and truly getting better. Super impressive. But I'm telling you, the level being what it is forcing us. So like when 2 hours in the gym was enough, it's not anymore. If
yeah,
you want to stay relevant, you got to find the time to do more.
yeah, for sure. Well, your match is set. I hope you do well. We are going to be watching it together again, as always. Um,
Nice.
I, I hope that the West dominates this time, like
Yes,
truly
yes.
dominates, and we
Yeah.
see a good event, we have a good Saturday.
Well, I think
Uh,
the events loaded too.
yeah,
Like genuinely super interesting matches. I mean, if Jerry can get a stop in there, that place is going to erupt. Like
yeah,
and
yeah,
Brian Shaw and Eddie, like such an important match for arm wrestling. I don't think these guys are getting enough credit for that. What this is going to do for the sport, we need to be thankful to those guys for their interest, because they're bringing light. And, if they can add to pay-per-view buys, that just helps prepare those leagues to continue on. It's huge. It's to me, this is a milestone match. I think that Eddie and Brian, super important, super important. I'm looking forward to it, not just as a sideshow, but really to see, hey, which one of these guys is going to continue on. So
I
super
think
awesome,
one of
guys.
them at
Yeah,
least gonna go on and continue.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if Eddie beats Brian? Like,
I
what
don't
if
know
that
what world we
happens?
live in.
Wild. I don't know,
Is it a
but it's not
foregone
like it's.
conclusion? Is
I
it a
don't know.
for
Everybody's acting like Brian's gonna have a walk in the park. Like it's just not even why even show up type thing. And I have a feeling it's not going to be that. And if Eddie messes around, and beats Brian, are we going to see Neil Pickup training Eddie Hall for the next 10 years? It could happen. Who knows?
yeah, it's
It's
not out of possibility, right?
mhm.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
this
super,
yeah,
super important card, super important match. So guys,
yeah.
if you haven't, it's coming up on the 14th. Go to Core Sports. Check it out. Get the pay-per-view. If you can get there, man, there's only a couple hundred seats left from what I'm hearing. So if you're close, go buy the tickets. I'm telling you, we sold out in Florida like a week before. And then we had to make luckily there was enough room that we could add like 100 more premium seats. It's not going to be that in Valley. So, hopefully we don't sell out too early and people are disappointed, but I'd get in there sooner rather than later.
Yeah, it's gonna sell out soon, and I'll put a link in the video description so that
Yeah.
you guys can access to it, have access to
Yeah.
it easily. Just one last thing.